Hold on, we're going to get the backup recorder here.
Since they're recording here.
No. Anyone wants to take. If you got a problem with it, you have to take it up with him.
Take it to the bank and put it in an envelope.
That is a hot item. My expertise. And that's what.
Hi, Gene. Are you unmuted?
Yes, I am.
Good.
It's been a bit, my builder's keeping me busy.
Which one of you guys is wearing the Ben Gay aftershave? You want my eyes or?
Bobby, must be David.
Good. I'll get an extra stock.
Is that burning your eye?
Been gay after.
That's what it smells like.
I don't even have any aftershave on. And I don't think my
Some kind of a lodge.
You sure it's coming from this direction? Rocky, you may be offended.
I can smell it too. I think you've been sniffing blue.
Maybe that's.
You think you could do one of these?
Peppermint. I don't know.
Is it one of these?
No, it smells like peppermint, but boy, that's the strongest.
Is it one of these?
That's probably what it is.
Well, I don't know.
Candy?
It's a breath, man. Yeah.
Brett. Just pungent. That's all I'm saying.
I'm gonna go ahead. Are we? There we go.
Well, I guess we better put these up.
Oh, we always go down to the end of the table.
Yeah.
Maybe that was his intent. You notice that aftershave and not cologne to eliminate Bobby.
Men's clothes.
Not very feminine, Bobby.
Pain fell, Dwayne. The hooker.
Okay, this goes over on his bailiwick here. All right, we are equipped. Meeting will now come to order. This is the quarterly legislative meeting of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Tribal Legislature. This is September the 17th of 2019. And offer a word of prayer. Nui Matmo, I'm going to pray. Mama goes then co-op Mishnach Jayok. Grandfather God, watch over everyone. Shawan Mishnach Minedokum Mishnach. Have pity on us, think peacefully of us. We are asking for a good life. Thank you for everything you have created. Jesus. Thank you for giving us your son, Jesus. Amen.
Yeah.
Could have the roll call, please, Secretary Treasurer Trouser.
Chairman Barrett.
Shoda.
Vice Chairman Cap.
Shoda.
Secretary Treasurer Still. Shoda. Representative Bowden.
Shoda.
Representative Barrett.
Shoda.
Representative Birdsall.
Shoda.
Representative Whistler.
Shoda.
Representative Slavin.
Shoda.
Representative Wesselhoft. Absent. Representative Kraft.
Shoda.
Representative Spilkoffer.
Shoda.
Representative Carney.
Shoda.
Representative Lambert.
Shoda.
Representative Payne.
Shoda.
Representative Johnson.
Shoda.
Representative Dave Carney.
Shoda.
15 present, 1 absent.
15 present, 1 absent. We have a a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting held on July the 1st, 2019. If you read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Special legislative meeting minutes, July 1st, 2019. Present, Chairman Barrett, Vice Chairman Capps, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale, Representatives Barrett, Bersall, Bowden, Dave Carney, Eva Marie Carney, Johnson, Kraft, Lambert, Payne, Schmidelkoffer, Slavin, Wesselhoff, and Whistler. None were absent. Yes were Randy Bashaw, Liam Rickson, Lily Lewis, Jacqueline Mishner, Allie Smith, Rachel Sanders, Mickey Lovelace, Katie Simpson, Maria Renchier, Keisha Perkins, Jonathan Toon, Tesha Zintek, Greg Quinlan, George Wright, Aubrey Walters, Julia Slavin, and Jamie Mocha. Chairman Barrett calls the meeting to order at 9:15 a.m., followed by the invocation and roll call. First item of business, minutes from the previous meeting held on May 30th, 2019. Motion to approve minutes as read was made by Representative Whistler, second by Representative Payne. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 absent. Second item of business, Resolution 20-01-NR. Motion to approve Resolution 20-01-NR was made by Representative Wesselhoff, second by Representative Barrett. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Third item of business, Resolution 20-02-JNPS. Motion to approve Resolution 20-02-JNPS was made by Representative Bersall, second by Representative Dave Carney. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Fourth item of business, Resolution 20-03-LCOE. Motion to approve Resolution 20-03-LCOE was made by Representative Eva Marie Carney, seconded by Representative Lambert. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Fifth item of business, Resolution 20-04-LCOE. Motion to approve Resolution 20-04-LCOE was made by Representative Whistler, seconded by Representative Johnson. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Sixth item of business, general discussion of using tribal ID as a quote, real ID and voting procedures and safeguards. Seventh item of business, adjournment. There being no further business before the legislature. Motion to adjourn was made by Representative Schmidelkoffer, second by Representative Bowden. Motion passed 16 in favor, 0 opposed. Meeting was adjourned at 10:40 a.m.
Special. Okay. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Eva Marie Carney?
Just the minutes that I'm looking at don't have that additional item of business. I guess they were amended, which seems fine, but I'm
The sixth
a little
item?
confused. Yeah. Mhm.
We read from an abbreviated minutes is why it's a difference. So it was just added in the abbreviated, but it wasn't in the official minutes.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, well, thank you for reading that then. That sounds good. I remember that discussion. I don't know where we left it, but I do remember it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented as read. Motion made by Representative Schmidelkoffer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Bersall. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale, Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Koenig.
Representative Barrett,
Conagay.
Representative Bersall,
Conagay.
Representative Whistler, Representative Slavin, Representative Kraft,
Koenig.
Representative Schmidelkoffer,
Conagay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Koenig.
Representative Lambert,
Koenig.
Representative Payne,
Conagay.
Representative Johnson,
Conagay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Conagay.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. The minutes are approved. Next is Resolution 2005 R&G. If you could read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 20-05-RNG. Resolution approving the rescheduling of the quarterly meeting of the legislature from Thursday, August 29th to Tuesday, September 17th, 2019. Whereas the Citizen Potawatomi Nation is a federally recognized tribe of American Indians with constitutional authority under the Act of June 18th, 1934, and the Oklahoma Indian Welfare Act of June 26, 1936. And whereas the Citizen Potawatomi Nation has sovereign powers that are inherent in tribal tradition, derived from a history of organized self-government since time immemorial, and recognized by treaties with the United States and in the Constitution of the United States. And whereas Article 4, Section 3 of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Constitution provides for a separation of powers of the tribal government by the reservation and delegation of specific powers to other entities of the tribal government. And except for these specific limitations, all other general powers of government are embodied in the legislature's authority to enact legislation, transact business, and otherwise speak and act on behalf of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation in all matters on which the nation is empowered to act now or in the future. And whereas Article 14, Section 1 of the Constitution of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation states that the regular meetings of the legislature shall be held the last Thursday in February, May, August, and November unless otherwise provided by resolution. And whereas in order to allow sufficient time to review and analyze the proposed budgets for the fiscal year 2020, it is necessary to reschedule the summer quarterly meeting of the tribal legislature. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution rescheduling the summer quarterly meeting of the legislature from Thursday, August 29, 2019 to Tuesday, September 17, 2019 is hereby approved.
Are there any additions, deletions, discussion? Chairman, entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion made by Representative Dave Carney. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Bob Whistler. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Konigay.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Konigay.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale Konigay, Representative Bowden,
Konigay.
Representative Barrett,
Konigay.
Representative Bursall,
Konigay.
Representative Whistler,
Konigay.
Representative Slavin,
Konigay.
Representative Kraft,
Konigay.
Representative Smiddlecoffer,
Konigay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Konigay.
Representative Lambert, Representative Lambert,
She's muted.
Konigay.
Representative Payne,
Konigay.
Representative Johnson,
Konigay.
Representative Dave Carney,
Konigay.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2006 RNG. Could you read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale?
Resolution 20-06-RNG, a resolution appointing delegates and alternate delegates to the National Congress of American Indians, NCAI, annual session and authorizing payment of NCAI membership dues. First 3 whereas, same as read in previous resolution. The 4th whereas, the Citizen Potawatomi Nation is a member of the Indian government in good standing of the National Congress of American Indians and meets all requirements for tribal membership pursuant to Article 2, Section 2A of the Constitution of the National Congress of American Indians. And whereas based on the tribal citizenry, the nation shall have 180 votes according to Article 2, Section 6C of the NCAI Constitution and bylaws. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that pursuant to Article 3, Section 2 of the NCAI Constitution, the following persons are hereby designated as delegate and alternate delegates and instructed to become individual members in good standing in NCAI in order to fulfill their responsibilities as official delegates to the National Congress of American Indians annual session, mid-year session, and executive council session for a term of 1 year. Tribal Chairman John Barrett, Representative Gene Lambert, Representative Bob Whistler. Now, therefore, be it resolved, further resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution authorizing Chairman John Barrett to take the necessary action to continue the nation's membership in the National Congress of American Indians and remit the requisite membership dues in accordance with NCAI bylaws, Article 3, Section 3B, is hereby approved. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, an appropriation of $6,500 from the general account or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and/or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read.
So moved.
Motion made by Representative Bowden. Is there a second? Representative Lambert. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Carnegie.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale, Koenig, Representative Bowden, Representative Barrett,
Carnegie.
Representative Bersall,
Conagay.
Representative Whistler, Representative Slavin,
Conagay.
Representative Kraft,
Carnegie.
Representative Spindlecoffer,
Conagay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Okay.
Representative Lambert,
Carnegie.
Representative Payne,
Conagay.
Representative Johnson,
Conagay.
Representative Dave Carney,
Conagay.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2007 RNG. I'd like to move to table this resolution. The chairman or president of this organization was former chief of the Creek Nation, George Tiger, who was sentenced in federal court just recently. I'm sorry, I'm getting a conversation in the background. Does someone have their phone on or a record player or? Thank you. Anyway, we don't know who the president of the organization is. The remaining officers of the organization, only one, I think, is willing to serve. The organization was quite ineffectual last year, and I didn't think they didn't demonstrate that they were doing a great deal of good. And we didn't have really good attendance of all of the tribes. And the 5 tribes were not a part of this other than the Creek Nation. Chickasaws, Choctaws, Cherokees did not attend. And we were losing, a third of the other tribes. So I'm not sure we want to pay this until we find out if it is a viable or valid organization. And there's if it turns out to be a valid or viable organization, I'll come back to you with it. So I'd like to get a motion to table.
Chairman, I have a question. What was the purpose of this organization? I understand the NCAI, but what was the purpose of the Kansas and Texas?
It was originally formed to try to have a unified voice against Mary Fallin when we were being sued, and Mary Fallin was sending her delegates to this meeting, and one of them, her sister chief counsel, got up at the podium and said, if you don't agree to the governor's position on this, you're going to get what the Potawatomis got, which was a lawsuit that went all the way to the 10th Circuit and lasted 9 months.
But okay, that's for Oklahoma, but why was Kansas and Texas going along? I mean, I just don't understand what the purpose was of this organization. Now, I can see why we should.
It's all of the tribes that are administered under the Anadarko Area Office.
Okay.
The Kansas tribes and the Alabama Coshada and the Texas Kickapoo are all in the Prairie Potawatomis, and the Sycophants of Kansas and Nebraska and the Kickapoo of Kansas are all administered through the Anadarko area.
Chairman, for clarification, 4 days ago, Principal Chief Justin Wood of the Sycophants Nation was appointed
as president of that organization. That just did happen 4 days ago.
Appointed?
Well, he won the election. That at least that's what their press release that they put out from the organization.
So they had an election without a meeting.
I can't tell you that, sir. I just know 4 days ago he was appointed to that based off of their press releases from the organization and based off the press releases from the Sacrifice Nation. But that's who the new president of the organization is.
Okay, well, then, that's been the way things have operated is they claim there's an election and they don't have a meeting. They just get on the phone. And Ms. Gray from Osage, that was the sister of the former chief, the one that built the casino on Tush land, on fee land. I hate to throw cold water on it, but what's your feeling? To approve the 2,000 and spend it if it turns out to be viable, and don't spend it if it doesn't?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Got a motion to table.
Second.
Second. Motion to table by Representative Barrett, second by Representative Slavin. All in favor. So we don't roll call.
You'll have to.
Yeah. We have an acclamation. It's tabled. Next is Resolution 2008 RNG. You could read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 20-08-RNG, a resolution confirming the appointment of the members of the election committee and designation of Gary Bourbonnais as the chairman of the committee. First, three whereas are the same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth whereas, Chapter 4, Section 1, Article 107 of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Codes, aka Citizen Potawatomi Nation Election Ordinance, states that subject to confirmation of the legislature, the chairman of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation shall appoint members to the election committee and designate the chairman of the election committee. And whereas pursuant to Executive Order 19-08, Tribal Chairman John Barrett has appointed the following individuals to serve as the election committee of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation for the year 2020. Gary Bourbonnais, Chairman; David Bourbonnais; Carrie Kiefer; Jenny Affentranger; Julie Floyd. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution confirming the appointment of the members of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Election Committee and designation of Gary Bourbonnais as the election committee chairman is hereby approved.
Any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Could you get the wizard back? I can't get the side shift to work. Chairman, I entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. So motion made by Representative Smiddlecoffer, seconded by Representative Bob Whistler. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett.
Honegay.
Vice Chairman Capps.
Honegay.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale. Honegay. Representative Bowden.
Honegay.
Representative Barrett.
Honegay.
Representative Bersall.
Conagay.
Representative Whistler.
Honegay.
Representative Slavin.
Honegay.
Representative Kraft.
Honegay.
Representative Smiddlecoffer.
Conagay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney.
Honegay.
Representative Lambert.
Conagay.
Representative Payne.
Conagay.
Representative Johnson.
Conagay.
Representative Dave Carney.
Conagay.
Get the camera to shift this way.
You get that pointed at the little black thing.
Pointed at that.
And then hit it.
Which?
Wherever you want.
This right here.
These numbers here.
Oh, I got it. Okay. So this is one instruction. So it's laid out just like it looks.
3, 5, 2, 1. Going from over there.
Okay, thank you.
What happened to your volume?
I lost volume.
The remote folks.
Church Tilly Lace.
Did everybody turn themselves down out in the districts? Because we lost some volume on the last vote.
Yeah, muted.
Okay,
15 in favor, 1 absent.
Where's the control on that? On this? Where's everyone on this?
Everything on there is on here.
Where's the volume control?
Right, this one. Down and up. That one's down and the other one's up. That, now it's all the way down.
It's all the way down. How do you tell?
Little jumper here.
Oh, okay. I see it. Thank you.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. Next is resolution 2009, ED&C. Read that into the record, please. Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 20-09-ED&C, a resolution approving membership into the National Indian Gaming Association, NIGA, for the Citizen Potawatomi Nation and authorizing payment of membership dues for fiscal year 2020. First three whereas are the same as read in the previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the National Indian Gaming Association is a voluntary association of tribal gaming entities representing federally recognized tribal governments involved in gaming enterprises in Indian country, whose purpose is to promote a cooperative relationship among the tribes and their representatives. And whereas NIGA also promotes regulatory standards, methods of operation, educational seminars, and exchange of information and ideas for the mutual benefit of all members, and acts as a gaming regulatory advisory group. And whereas a member of NIGA, the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, will receive all publication, meeting notices, and action alerts, and discounted registration fees on all meetings and seminars. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution approving membership in the National Indian Gaming Association and authorizing payment of membership dues is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, an appropriation of $7,500 from the Fire Lake Entertainment Center and $17,500 from the Grand Casino Hotel and Resort account or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion made by Representative Eva Marie Carney, seconded by Representative David Barrett. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale, Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Koenig.
Representative Barrett,
Congregate.
Representative Bursall,
Koenig.
Representative Whistler, Representative Slavin, Representative Kraft,
Koenig.
Representative Smiddlecoffer,
Koenig.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Koenig.
Representative Lambert,
Koenig.
Representative Payne,
Koenig.
Representative Johnson,
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney,
Koenig.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. Next is resolution 20-11.
10.
20-10, I'm sorry. ED&C, if you could read that into the record, please.
Resolution 20-10-ED&C, a resolution supporting the Citizen Potawatomi Nation's grant application to the Economic Development Administration under the Department of Commerce fiscal year 2018 Economic Development Assistance Program. First three whereas are the same as read in previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the Economic Development Administration through the Department of Commerce is soliciting grant proposals from Indian tribes for projects to provide investments that support construction, non-construction, planning, technical assistance, and revolving loan fund projects. And whereas the EDA grant program is intended to support economic development, foster job creation, and attract private investment in economically distressed areas of the United States. And whereas this project will result in phase 3 in the development of an industrial park, which will entail the construction of approximately 2 additional miles of rail within the park and will provide for the purchase of equipment necessary for the actual operation of the transload facility and warehousing storage area. And whereas the EDA grant program considers 50% non-federal in-kind match from the Citizen Potawatomi Nation as essential to the projects, which will consist of $3 million EDA grant funds and a $3 million tribal match. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution supporting the submission of the fiscal year 2018 Economic Development Assistance Program grant application to the EDA Department of Commerce is hereby approved. Now therefore be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, if awarded, up to $3 million from the fiscal year 2018 Economic Development Assistance Programs grant or other applicable accounts for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion?
Chairman, I do have a question. We're in the year 2019, and we're saying therefore, the last two sections, it's quoting 2018. What is that correct? Okay, sorry, but just, all
It's old money. I mean, they've got a lot of money left over.
right, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read. Representative Bob Whistler has moved to approve it. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Bersall. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Carnegie.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Carnegie.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Carnegie.
Representative Barrett,
Carnegie.
Representative Bersall, Representative Whistler,
Okay.
Representative Slavin,
Okay.
Representative Kraft,
Carnegie.
Representative Spindlecoffer,
Carnegie.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Koenig,
Representative Lambert,
Carnegie.
Representative Payne,
Carnegie.
Representative Johnson,
Carnegie.
Representative Dave Carney,
Carnegie.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. Next is 2011 Natural Resources. If you could read that into the record, please, Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 20-11-NR, a resolution approving the reappointment in terms of office for Sean Howard and Brad Peltier as members of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation's Floodplain Management Board. First 3 whereas are the same as read in the previous resolution. The 4th whereas, Resolution 01-40, adopted on October 25th, 2000, established the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Floodplain Board, appointed members and designated duties. And whereas Resolution 01-40 further states that members of the Floodplain Management Board shall serve without compensation, and members of the Floodplain Management Board may be removed for cause only after a public hearing for that purpose. And whereas Resolution 13-13-NR, adopted on August 30th, 2012, increased the number of Floodplain Management Board members to 7 and provided for staggered terms of office to more effectively monitor the floodplain and preserve the institutional memory of the CPN Floodplain Management Board. Whereas Sean Howard and Brad Peltier are currently serving terms that expired October 1st, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that a resolution reappointing Sean Howard and Brad Peltier as Floodplain Management Board members whose terms shall expire on October 22nd, 2023 is hereby approved.
Any additions, deletions, corrections, or discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as read.
So moved.
Motion made by Representative Bowden. Is there a second? Second by Representative Payne. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Carnegie.
Secretary Treasurer Trousdale Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Carnegie.
Representative Barrett,
Carnegie.
Representative Bersall,
Carnegie.
Representative Whistler,
Carnegie.
Representative Slavin,
Carnegie.
Representative Kraft,
Carnegie.
Representative Spindlecoffer,
Carnegie.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Koenig,
Representative Lambert,
Carnegie.
Representative Payne,
Carnegie.
Representative Johnson,
Carnegie.
Representative Dave Carney,
Carnegie.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved. Next is Resolution 2012, Committee of the Whole on Appropriations. If you could read that into the record, please. Secretary Treasurer Trousdale.
Resolution 20-12-APP, a resolution approving the operating budgets of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation for fiscal year 2020. First three whereas are the same as read in previous resolution. The fourth whereas, the legislature has been provided copies of the budget containing every program budget funded by the Department of Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs fiscal year 2020 annual funding agreement, including Department of Labor Public Law 102-477 and Department of Health and Human Services Child Care Funds, indirect cost, Department of Health and Human Services Indian Health Service fiscal year 2020 annual funding agreement, federal grants and contracts, and tribal programs. Whereas the legislature recognizes that budgets provided are intended as a management and planning tools for each program and service provided by the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. And whereas the legislature accepts that budget line items may or may not change over the next 12 months to better fit the needs of the program of service, but that the total budgets will not be changed significantly. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the legislature of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation that as a resolution approving the Citizen Potawatomi Nation's operating budgets for fiscal year 2020 as presented is hereby approved. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that by act of this resolution and consistent with the separation of powers defined in the Constitution, an appropriation of $426,589,769 from the Department of Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs fiscal year 2020 annual funding agreement, including Department of Labor, Public Law 102-477, and Department of Health and Human Services Child Care Funds, indirect costs, Department of Health and Human Services Indian Health Service fiscal year 2020 annual funding agreement, federal grants and contracts, tribal programs and enterprise funds for the implementation, negotiation, operation, enforcement, procurement, settlement, and or completion of this contract, compact, regulation, or agreement by the tribal chairman or his designate is hereby authorized.
Is there additions, deletions, or discussion? All of you have your budgets with you. Representative Wesley.
Chairman, I have a question really on just one item on page 3. It has to do with the Grand Casino. They're in the buffet, they want to add $30,000 for improvements, adding a drink station to the buffet so we can eliminate the hostess. My only question is, will we find another position for that hostess? I hate to see anybody lose their job. That's really my only concern. I don't want to see somebody lose a job because we're doing something. Will we look for an opportunity to replace them? That's really the question that I have.
Actually, that hostess is going to be part of the events hospitality crew in the new facility where the storm shelter.
Okay, that's fine.
Convention meeting room.
I just wanted to see somebody move to another area.
She's a good one. We wouldn't want to lose her. So.
No. Other than that, I'm fine.
Okay. Any other discussion?
On that point, if I may, Chairman, we make hires virtually every day at the nation.
I know.
So we encourage the ones to, the employees who that position may have been terminated or eliminated to apply for other jobs. But sometimes the reality is that our head count will be reduced. So
I know sometimes it's going to happen, but on this particular one, I was hoping we would offer them something else.
Sure. I just want to make sure everyone understands that headcount reduction is part of business.
The reason I asked that, Dwayne, prior to being with the legislative group, I ran a city for a company that I was with before I retired, and I had to close a station, but we were able to move some of the people if they were willing to relocate. Some separated. I do understand that sometimes that happens, but I would say as a nation, we would look for an opportunity to at least make an offering, and it may or may not come about, but we're willing to make the offer.
I have a comment about the budgets. You will notice about the budgets this year, we have a new software and we were able to do these summaries. We've never been able to do that before. And so we had 29 pages in our budget instead of 208 or 203, what you've been used to. And so I'd like to hear comments about what you thought about the new format.
It's shorter.
I'll start it out, Rocky. No. With talking with Dwayne and talking with Linda, it got me satisfied with the reports that I wanted. But I also, in the report in the 29 pages, the grants where it showed which year we was receiving the money from, and then how long, if it's 2 out of 5 or 3, I thought that was real good to have. We've always wanted an explanation of where we stand on the grants. So I thought that was good there.
Well, I want to thank everyone who had questions of me this week and last week. And I thought that it went very well. It went better than it ever has. So.
Chairman, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2012 appropriations as presented. Motion made by Representative Eva Marie Carney.
Actually, I had my hand up to make a comment.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to let this pass. Linda is thanking us for asking questions and for being receivers of information, but I wanted to thank Mrs. Capps especially for being available, and I know working late into the night to get answers and also being very prompt and very kind. So thank you for all of that, Linda. We really appreciate you.
Linda's always a favorite.
And we know you're always consulting with the chairman.
Too late.
with the responses. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Still lift you out.
So is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Representative Carney, seconded by Representative Lambert. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig.
Vice Chairman Capps,
Koenig.
Secretary Treasurer Trouser Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Koenig.
Representative Barrett,
Conagate.
Representative Bersall,
Conagay.
Representative Whistler,
Conagay.
Representative Slavin,
Conagay.
Representative Kraft,
Koenig.
Representative Smiddlecofer,
Conagay.
Representative Eva Marie Carney,
Koenig.
Representative Lambert,
Koenig.
Representative Payne,
Conagay.
Representative Johnson,
Conagay.
Representative Dave Carney,
Conagay.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. It is approved.
Chairman, I would like to ask on this association, NIGA, or NIGA, how do you pronounce that?
National Indian Gaming
Yeah.
Association.
Does that association help us in our compacts, or do we have to do that ourselves, or do they support and help us in gaining influence on?
They're our congressional lobby. They work the Congress and do a good job with it. Then they also work, besides working the legislation in Washington, they help virtually in each state. They send someone to work individual compacts that have water moccasins in them.
Yeah.
And
Now, I get a report on my phone where they're doing, multitudes of stuff for everywhere, but I didn't know individually if they help us in our own compacts. That's just ourselves.
well, yeah, of course, we have this controversy going right now.
Yeah, right.
And the Tulsa World has managed to dredge up the fact that Jeffrey Standing Bear, the lawyer chairman or lawyer chief of the Osages, and the chief of the Cheyenne Arapaho, both petitioned Mary Fallon for the early negotiation, saying that they believe that the compact expired in 2019 and that they were willing to negotiate terms. And of course, we're taking the position that we're not negotiating, that the evergreen just going to roll over. Unfortunately, they did so without telling any of the other tribes or without any consultation at all. Which Mr. Standing Bear was, I believe, the attorney for the trying to wrap it up time.
So what's our recourse? Do it.
I just, they're doing a mea culpa, and we didn't mean it. They're trying to get out from under what they said, but all the rest of the tribes were unanimously have signed a document given to the governor that all the conditions for an evergreen have been met, and that we don't intend to renegotiate.
And then when's the drop dead date?
We sent a letter saying we would negotiate if, prior to the negotiation, they admitted that the evergreen in the compact was valid. So we volunteered to negotiate too.
So when January 1st comes around, will we know something?
We're just going to keep on rolling. What Mr. Stitt doesn't, or Governor Stitt doesn't realize, I think, is that if he does something precipitous, which it would take doing away with the lottery, doing away with charity bingo, and doing away with horse racing in order for him to do away with Indian gaming. And of course, he wouldn't mind doing that with horse racing because the tribes bought all the tracks. So he and his cronies would probably not mind that. But I think that charity bingo and the other things, there would be some trouble. The whole problem is that I don't think he really realizes the impact that tribes have on rural economic development. Because tribes can't move. I mean, we are where we are, and we're always going to be there. So the ability to raise money for jobs and industry in rural Oklahoma is just next to impossible without the tribes. We account for virtually 8 out of 10 jobs that have been created in the last 10 years in rural Oklahoma. And I think he's making a real mistake, and a really short-sighted mistake. He retained Jeffrey Cartwell, who was the attorney that worked under this guy Mullins that sued us. We went to court with and beat. The guy that made the presentation for the state was this Jeffrey Cartwell, and he's the one that's been held over by Stitt and dreamed up this nonsense that's going on now. And Stitt had a great relationship with the tribes until he decided to do this. And the day that he put that whole business out about, that the state deserves more money from the tribes and yada, yada. He issued a big statement to the Tulsa World, and before the tribes even got it. I mean, the first one to get his letter was Tulsa World. So the game that's going to be played is to put the tribes in the worst possible light.
Yeah, but there's a lot of power in the Indian tribes, so,
Yeah, I mean, we were at a meeting last week where up at
Well, the Osage held it. They sponsored it.
but it was at the
It was at the casino.
Gilcrease, at the Gilcrease.
No,
Well,
the
and
meeting
then-
was at the casino,
and
and then
there's
there
one-
was another meeting that night about,
One at the casino and at the Gilcrease both, and everyone talked about what their budgets were. And the Chickasaws have a $1.8 billion budget, larger than the state of Oklahoma. and 38,000 employees. I mean, I was invited to speak after the Chickasaws, Choctaws, Cherokees, Creeks. I was invited to get up and talk about everything that the Potawatomis have. And all of them had 14 counties, and 12 counties, and with Julians of dollars, and there wasn't any other way to play it. I went straight stand-up comedy. I went for the jokes. I gave them our numbers and said that's the best you can do. And the poorest half of one of the poorest counties in the state. And if you take Tecumseh away, all the rest of our towns, you'd have to shoot somebody to start the cemetery. So.
You didn't say you had a great personality?
The chairman did a really good job. Mary Chisholm was there, the director of our accounting now, and Jennifer Bell was there. Then we knew a lot of people there, but they were there from the nation. And chairman really did a good job for what he could say, because he came after all of those tribes that had billions of dollars and millions of dollars. And so it was real difficult, but he did great. So he told about our CDC and loaning money to Native American businesses, which not all of them have. And so he just hit on some things that were unique to our tribe, and he did a good job.
The Chickasaws have as much money coming in from their 8A contracting federal government and more than our total travel budget. And their casino is doing about just under $400 a machine average on 8,000 machines.
Well, that's why when I said there's a lot of Indians in Oklahoma, I don't know why he would want to mess with that, with our compact on that.
Agreed.
Well, but he's going to lose.
The things that the chairman said are accurate. Those are, in addition, there's $140 million of income to the state that's at risk.
I'm sure that you got some help coming up with that bright idea.
Yeah, the state's going to risk their $140 million revenues because if every tribe, if all 137 casinos, 135 casinos in the state went to the vendors and said, because the state has done this, we're going to go exclusively class 2, then VGT and AGS won't be the only class 2 vendors. I mean, then you're going to see how all the major companies will come out with a class 2 line. It's just fairly easy to take their existing class 3 product and go class 2 with it. And we'll take our whole casino class 2.
Yeah. I noticed that our proportion of class 2 and class 3 is you're coming up on the class 2 more.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
We don't have to give the state any money on those, and if they we would lose the table game play. But before I would relent to some kind of a haircut like he's talking about, 20-25% haircut over what we're paying now, 6 and 10. We go exclusively class 2.
He can't affect us on bingo because we stopped bingo, right? Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have.
Okay. I thought that we did.
This time we have.
I am the biggest villain in Potawatomi County. The last bingo hall left in the whole state, just about.
You're epitaph. Bingo killer.
Yeah, bingo killer. That's what it's going to be. But the bingo hall wasn't making any money. It was costing us more money than we were bringing in. Is there any other discussion? Anybody have any news? Anybody have grandchildren or children?
Linda, you think it'd be appropriate for me to tell the group about my visit on the OG House.
Oh, I think it'd be
Oh,
very
yeah.
appropriate.
The OG House, for those who may not be familiar, sits a quarter of a mile east of Silver Lake, Kansas on Highway 24. And it's a 2-story stone house that was built by the U.S. Army in 1827. And a couple of weeks ago, a guy got a hold of me, and an amazing way he found me, but he did find me. He wanted to talk about the house. He's a non-Indian, middle-aged man who I think made a fortune in technology. He has a PhD, he didn't tell me what it's in. He's now working through Kansas State University. And he's interested in Native Americans in Kansas between 1825 and 1870. And for some reason, he has zeroed in on this house. I learned more about, we've always known that our great-great-grandfather, Louis Ogie, lived in that house and raised his family, and my grandfather was born there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we had no idea about the history of the house. Fremont, the explorer, the surveyor, who made 4 or 5 trips across Kansas, actually stayed in that house for a period of time and picked it as a survey point and etched a plus sign on one of the foundation stones. The guy's telling me about that. He picks up his phone and shows me a picture he took of that plus sign.
And that's the benchmark for the surveys in the state?
Well, one of them, I mean, it's, it just blows away. And we always thought Ogie was a farmer, ferry operator, and a member of the business committee. He also operated a grist mill, a saw house where he, made boards. And was Grand Master of his Masonic Lodge in Silver Lake, et cetera. He was treasurer of the Silver Lake Township. It just went on and on.
Constitutional Convention, too. He was at the Constitutional Convention.
Yeah. But he was, amazing. And this guy, I've invited him to speak at the district meeting next spring in Rossville. I said,
Who built the house originally?
Huh?
Who built the house
The
originally?
U.S. Army.
The Army built that house.
And their mission was to survey the Kansas reservation, which was that was the original reservation before, then they moved to Council Grove eventually, and we took but that was their original mission. 300 soldiers were there to build that house and to do the survey.
So the general lived in the house and there was a fort around it? Or...
So we don't know, but it's amazing, and this guy has really delved into it.
That's an amazing house. I mean, I've stopped and looked at it a couple times. It's really held up well. They're taking care of it well.
But the quarry was 8 miles away.
What, sandstone?
No, it's almost a granite.
Granite?
Very good.
Any other business before the legislature? Chairman, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Representative Smittelkofer, and seconded by Representative David Barrett. Roll call, please.
Chairman Barrett,
Koenig,
Vice Chairman Capps,
Okay.
Secretary Treasurer Troutman, Koenig, Representative Bowden,
Okay.
Representative Barrett,
Conagay.
Representative Bersall,
Okay.
Representative Whistler,
Conagay.
Representative Slavin,
Conagay.
Representative Kraft,
Conagay.
Representative Smittelkofer,
Koenig.
Representative Eve Marie Carney,
Conagay.
Representative Lambert,
Conagay.
Representative Payne,
Conagay.
Representative Johnson,
Koenig.
Representative Dave Carney.
Koenig.
15 in favor, 1 absent.
15 in favor, 1 absent. Eva Marie, I'll let several folks here read your last email about your organization for young girls. And
Yes.
where do they send the money?
Money can be sent to my address, care of the Quebec Society, addressed to the Quebec Society. They also, if you go online, you can also do things through PayPal and other. I don't know if you saw the Shawnee Public Schools put out a press release about us helping their students. So we're helping all of the elementary school and middle school students now. So that's pretty awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Eva, I am not sure that the chairman knows about what we did and what Richard Driscoll did for the organization.
Okay, well, the nation itself through with Linda's authorization, donated in kind $10,000 in value of period products and some amount of transportation costs as well, because with that donation, we were able to cover 20 schools for the entire school year. And Richard Driscoll negotiated very, very heavily with Procter & Gamble to get rock bottom prices. He really worked them hard. He was just really excellent. So it's a significant amount of product. That means that 20 schools are set, and we can continue to help new schools that are coming online all the time. So now we're up to 37 schools, I believe. It's growing every day.
That's a good thing. I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad Linda and Richard did it. So it's a good deal.
Thank you. Yeah, great support. Really appreciate it.
Anybody else have any pet projects?
Dwayne, do you have girls? You only have boys, right?
Got one. So I know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I have a 17-year-old send a good direction. Thanks.
Don't do that again.
Good travel.
He's gonna be the death of me. I'm sorry for everything I did, Mom and Dad. Take it off of me. My son was easy.
I know.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.